All right, guys, welcome back to the next part of the Outside Line podcast. My name is Jacob Barker, once again joined by Chris Shoemaker and Mason Wood. We are continuing our last discussion from this past weekend from Kansas with the Cup Series and just NASCAR in general. Very chaotic weekend. We're just going to go straight into it with the Truck Series. Crap show of a race, but it was also a good race at the same time. That really set the tone of the weekend. I'd say um, the cool thing about the Truck Series race on Saturday night is that Haley Deegan and Tony Breedinger got a top 15 that night, and that was awesome to see.
Yeah, I really like that too. It just diversity, then they have a lot of criticism too. And then they go and have a great race and shut everybody up for at least a little while. It's always nice to see.
Yeah, especially with the series debut of Breedinger, and that's it. In and with Mason's awesome reaction to the Victoria's Secret truck, it, that was awesome.
My girlfriend shops there constantly, and when I found out that they were sponsoring a truck, I could not believe it. And she was the first person I told. I was like, look at this. You must," because I've been trying to get her to watch races for forever, and I'm like, look. There's two females racing. I'm like, there's the Victoria's Secret car. I'm like, please watch with me, please.
Did she watch
would've-
with you this time?
No, I didn't. We ended up going. We weren't even home for the races on Saturday. We went to a taco festival, and I saw Lil Jon
Ooh.
and Two Chains and Flo Rida in concert. So
Well, there you go.
I guess that's a good excuse.
yeah,
Well,
I was home Sunday to
actually-
see the Cup race, so that's what mattered.
I've actually got my Haley Deegan shirt on from her K&N series days or ARCA days.
You know, I was actually looking at her stats. Brittinger, I can't say her name. I blame being dyslexic, but you know who I'm talking about. I was actually looking at her stats online, and I'm very impressed. She has had a lot of good finishes there,
Oh yeah,
and Arca and everything. I think she's got a good future ahead of her.
I agree. She's racing with one of the best, if not the best team in ARCA right now, Event Reading Motorsports, and has always done a really good job with car control, just racing to the front if she can, and trying to stay up front, and has always had some pretty good finishes in the past, and she honestly seems like she's a really nice person to meet or talk to. Always good to the fans, and it was good to see her to get a top 15 in the Truck Series race along with Haley Deegan. So that was cool to see. Um, so Grant
Do you think she
Enfinger,
goes in the cup?
one day maybe.
no, I don't
It's a
know.
long way down the line.
Yeah,
That's a long way down the road.
too early to tell, but still, I'm impressed regardless.
100%. So Grant Enfinger came out with the victory Saturday night, a much needed victory, I will say, because that team's been needing a victory for a while, and so he's in the playoffs. Good for him, and they will be playoff racing. And as we say every time, assuming that there will be not 10 more winners on the season. Uh, but I don't think that'll happen. Um, just the chaos of of the pure Twitter meltdown it would just be horrific.
Oh, absolutely. It'd be hilarious to see as well.
Oh, it would be.
And then the
Um,
Facebook meltdown too. Oh, that
oh,
would that would go.
I'm good.
I don't know what the right word for it is, but that would
Very
go.
poorly.
Hmm.
So going into the Cup Series race, I don't know about you guys, but it was a very boring race for me. I
Until
don't feel
the
like
end.
that. I don't feel like much happened that race. That was sarcasm, by the way, if you guys couldn't tell.
I honestly, I was having a hard time over here, man. I
I
was
was
like,
having a
dang, is
hard
he
time with it too.
serious? It's like, were we watching
Love
the
it.
same race?
Successful job. I'm telling you, that was an awesome race. That was a great race yesterday.
Oh, absolutely. It was one of the most. I mean, you could say it was in the running for best. I'd say it was probably the best race of the year. I feel like there was just so much passing, and it was, there were so many guys that were to the front and then to the back, to the front, to the back. And there were so many different lead changes and everything like that. They set the track record for lead changes yesterday. It was
Yep.
about as entertaining as you could ask for, and it was another great showing out of these 1.5 mile tracks. Now that we've tried to push a lot of 1.5 miles off the schedule, so
Yeah, totally. That was a really good race. I'll admit I didn't see a whole lot of it because I was finishing up the F1 race, but yeah, from what I did see, it was a very fun race.
Yeah, and we had some controversy at the end of the race in two different ways, actually.
yes.
So say around with like 60 laps to go, Noah Gragson found himself with a gentleman named Ross Chastain coming off turn 4. Now, if you guys don't know, Ross has never done anything like this in his career before. Obviously,
He's like a little watermelon angel.
exactly. um, I'm telling you, that was wild. So basically, I don't know. I don't really remember too much of what led up to it. All I remember is that Ross and Noah were beating, banging pretty much the whole way down the front straightaway, coming off turn 4, and that is what caused Noah to either hit the wall or spin out like 5 laps later or so. And then Noah was mad about it, which understandably he should be, um, and went to talk to Chastain about it, and then things got physical.
In all fairness, he shouldn't have grabbed Chastain. After he grabbed him, he was asking for it.
Well, Chastain said stop.
Yeah, it's true. I'm not going to defend Noah. I'm not going to defend Ross. Ross did say stop, but Noah had a reason to be upset, and you know it was about time someone did something about it. And I feel like that if there was one guy in the entire Cup Series garage that was going to do something about it, it was going to be the young rookie Noah Gragson.
Well, and Chase Elliott said the same thing you did too. There was a clip that came out this morning of right after Gragson walks away and they're kind of carrying him away. Chase looks at Noah and he's like, "Well, somebody had to do it." So,
yep,
You know,
and I'm telling you, if the gentleman in the I don't know if he was a security guard or what, but the gentleman who was wearing the gold shirt that practically grabbed Noah, if he wasn't there to stop Noah, Chastain would have been sent to the shadow realm because he was hauling with that punch.
yeah, and that was a good punch. I'll admit that's a good punch, but he took it like a champ.
Oh, and that's not the first time we've seen it with Noah. That's like the third different time we've seen Noah take a couple punches.
And he takes them like champs. Unlike Brad Keselowski.
God, don't even get me started.
You know, the best part about the entire fight was when they were showing it live. The fact that it was on Kyle Larson, and he's sitting there, and at first he's like, "Why aren't they showing the replay of what happened?" He's like, "I haven't seen the replay," and he's like, "Why aren't they showing it?" And then he realizes why they're not showing it, and he's trying to finish his interview, and he's laughing because he's watching the fight. It was quite a moment. I mean, just yesterday was already going to be a memorable day in itself. The end of the race with Gregson and Chastain, the two personalities that are going to carry this sport for the next 10 or so years. They were the reason that this race is going to be one of the most memorable of the season for sure.
You know, I really like Ross Chastain. I think he has been the best thing to happen to NASCAR in probably the last 15 years because he makes headlines. He has a
Yep.
legit personality. You may not like him, but he's there, and that's him.
Well, and at a time where what's funny about it is that I think if Chastain was racing 15 to 20 years ago, he almost would be, I don't want to say he'd be less noticeable, but he wouldn't be the big, like he may not be the big bad. There was so many personalities back then that his personality wouldn't be so far-fetched. NASCAR needs these personalities these days. And he is absolutely going to be one of those guys. I mean, look, my dad was a Dale Senior fan, and he said it. This past week, I heard Chris. You said it this past week. I know that Brett Griffin on DBC said it a couple weeks ago. Ross feels a lot like Dale Senior, and there's a lot of people that are starting to feel that way. And he may bring back a lot of those people that have been lost since there's no Earnhardt back in the sport. Chastain adds a little bit of that to it. And I mean, look at it yesterday. Granted, yes, there was no way for Gregson to throw a punch back, and I don't think that was fair. However, Chastain was sitting there as Gregson was being held back, and Chastain landed 1 to 2 punches. He was smiling. He loves it. He's perfect for our sport at this moment in time.
That's the thing that stood out to me, is that he was smiling the entire time. And I'm like, this guy's a madman. I really want to like him. I really do. But his reputation is going to follow him wherever he goes.
Whether it's for Dales.
Yeah, I know. And that's the thing, is like, I have a Ross Chastain t-shirt from Martinsville just for the moment. If I'm wearing that t-shirt in public, they won't think it's a NASCAR shirt. They'll say, that's the guy who rode the wall at that racetrack. That's exactly what they will say.
And another thing about Chastain is, back before him, if you ask the average person who give me like 5 current NASCAR drivers. I did this with one of our riders here at BSP. I'm not going to name names, but he genuinely couldn't name anybody. And that is a lot of people. And that was a big problem. But now you have Chastain with the Hail Melon. And then he's just making a name for himself, and for better or for worse. And now he's putting everything back on the map. Mm-hmm. And he is the personality that they need.
It's like the stars are aligning, and Chastain is that one final piece of the puzzle that we've needed for the last 10 years or so.
And I want to finish that thought, too, that Mason was saying about him being very similar to Dale Sr. I think the biggest difference between both of them was that Dale Sr. wasn't one to get in fights. He had more charisma. And I remember there was a couple of drivers saying every time they'd confront Dale Sr. about a time that he wrecked him, you would always come out thinking that you lost, no matter what happened. No matter how blatant it was, you'd come out thinking, well, maybe I had that coming. And I think once Chastain gets a little older, I think he's going to have that little personality. And, if he ever goes to RCR, I think he's earned the right to drive the 3. I think there's only a handful of people that should have the right to drive the 3, but I think he's one of them. And I think the 3 is a very sacred number, not just in NASCAR, but in all of racing.
Yeah, and we were talking about this before we even started recording. The problem with that is that Richard Childress will never let anyone other than Austin Dillon race the 3.
I know. And that hasn't sat well with me for ever since he got the 3. And like I was saying, there's only so many people that are worthy of driving the 3. And I think, of course, an Earnhardt would be worthy. I think Ross Chastain has earned the right, and I think Kevin Harvick earned the right in those years he was with RCR.
Well, how about this? And once again, I said that Chastain is too loyal to Trackhouse for what Justin Marks has done with him. But what if the very rare opportunity came up to go to RCR? What are the chances of him now? Granted, with having still Kyle Busch there, if he's still around in like 5 years or so, and Austin Dillon being there, would Richard Childress bring the 29 back for Chastain? Because that's a difficult one, because that's the number that Harvick made.
Is 33? Is that still his number?
I guess technically it is still RCR's number.
I can see him maybe getting a 33. If it were me, though, and if Dillon really wanted to stay in a 3, I would put Dillon in a 33. And if Ross ever, for whatever reason, came to RCR, I would put him in the 3. No doubt about it. He is worthy to drive a black 3.
I feel like you're onto something, but at the same time, I feel like the day that Ross Chastain drives for RCR is the day that pigs fly. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, assuming 5 years from now, like that's still. I mean, right now that's a lateral move or a step down. It's not a move up. So I think that's a problem. That's why we don't see as many changes and moves as you see in the NFL and in the MLB, is because it's not always going to be a step up. The grass isn't always greener, and you don't always want to take a step down or a lateral move. And a lot would have to happen for that to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But still, a person can dream about him driving the 3.
So one last thing I want to mention about that fight is that video from the angle from the pit road from the NASCAR media reporter, from the official NASCAR Twitter page, from last time I checked, which was about 2 hours ago, has 2.3 million views in 18 hours. So that's solid. It's pretty solid. Yeah. And once again, it's Ross Chastain making the headlines.
I want to make another point about him being very similar to Dale. I know I'm keep harping on this, but they kind of come from both working class backgrounds. So I think they have that, and they have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. And I think that's another thing that NASCAR really needs. a driver from a working class background, not some rich guy coming in with a little bit of talent.
No, you're absolutely right. Is Chastain is and he still is actually a hard worker on the watermelon farm, and nothing should be taken away from him about that. So
Wasn't Dale a factory worker? Or
I don't know.
I knew he was working class, but I don't quite remember what his background was. I knew his daddy raced, Ralph.
Yeah, Ralph was a huge racer.
But and I know he came up from a working class, but I don't remember what his background was. Seemed like he was a factory worker or something.
There you go. So I feel like we've covered a lot about the fights. So let's go on to the next controversial bit from the race. The final last lap move from Denny Hamlin on Kyle Larson. Fair or foul? Because obviously I'm biased. I know how I really feel deep on the inside, but the professional in me says it was just a racing incident. Larson didn't get off the wall off turn 2 that well. Just came off of Hamlin's nose on the front, and Hamlin just happened to get into the back of him. Whether if it was just push Larson down the back straightaway or not, I don't know. Obviously, I'm not the driver. But ended up with Larson in the wall. Hamlin got the victory. His 4th win at Kansas. The most all-time. Larson P2. So what are your guys' thoughts on the move? Because it's kind of similar to Logano versus Byron last year at Darlington. But I kind of want to say that Darlington last year was a little more deliberate.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I think it's a racing incident, and I think it was just two guys coming together that really wanted to win the race. I think what you said off the air about Larson maybe kind of not having a good corner and kind of going up the racetrack, and Hamlin just happened to be there. But at the same time, we can't put it past Hamlin to not do something like this because he has a history of that.
Yeah.
And I think too.
Yeah, I think it's a racing incident.
Yeah, I think part of it, what it shows is I think it's so difficult these days to have those side by side finishes because the car is so, that fine line between on and off the edge with the car is so much thinner that it's a lot more difficult when the car gets out of control a little bit. And I think it's made it more difficult for us to, like yesterday, I thought we were going to get a nice side by side finish or just something that wasn't what the, Larson getting turned into the wall. And I just think it goes to show how difficult these cars can handle to be at times, because the whole reason that they even got into that skerfuffle was because of the way the air was moving in the first place. That was the whole reason Larson got squirrely before anything even happened. And it was just the way the air was. So it's so difficult to control these cars, and it is so difficult for us to get those, the Ricky Craven and Kurt Busch finishes that side by side. Those are so few and far between. And I think that what yesterday showed me was that when we get one of those finishes here soon, when we get a nice side-by-side that's not at a Daytona or Talladega type track and it's a crazy finish like that, it's going to be a very big deal, and it's going to light all the fans on fire with how excited they are. Waiting for it to happen. Obviously, it wasn't yesterday. But I agree with Chris. It's a racing deal. You're both going for the win, and yeah, the air really kind of took things and made things difficult in that situation. It was it was tight racing, and it was good racing too. The biggest thing was watching Hamlin kind of reel him in. There was I think the last 20 laps, him trying to reel him in, and he'd kind of reel him in a little bit, and then he'd fall back a little, and reel him in a little bit, and fall back. And it's a testament to just how good of a driver that Hamlin is, because he just continued to try and find something. And we saw the angle that he was really taking to start really, really high up in the corner, and then he would kind of come down and run that sort of that middle high lane when he would come out of the corner. He just showed why he's a veteran in this sport and why he's won as many races as he has. It was a great showing for him of why he is so important to the sport these days. So good win for Denny Hamlin. It's unfortunate that it was at Larson's expense, and Larson will I think Larson will pull through here soon. The bad luck will end, but it's been tough, and I know it's been tough for you as a Larson fan, Jacob.
Listen, Martinsville was pretty special, but this is getting old. I don't want to sound greedy, but this is getting old. It's been the story of being a Larson fan recently. But going back to what you're saying about having a side-by-side finish, I think that's going to happen at the 600.
You think so?
Yeah, because we saw how crazy it was last year and how crazy the race was yesterday at an intermediate track. Now, albeit a somewhat different configuration of an intermediate track, but with, like I said, how everything turned out last year, wouldn't put it past having a side-by-side finish at Charlotte.
Well, I think it'd be good for it too, because the Coke 600 would gain some more prestige there, having like the better that race is. It was such a good race last year. If they can repeat or have anything close to it, the more the Coca-Cola 600 gets looked at as, okay, here comes the Coke 600. I'm ready. I'm excited. It's a different feel versus how people may have looked at it 5 or 6 years ago.
Yep. Well,
and I want to finish the thought you had, Mason, about the side-by-side finishes. I want to go back to that. I don't think it's a good thing that we're not having that as much anymore. I think, if anything, we need more of that. Yeah, it'll be a big deal when it does happen, but I want to see two guys ramming into each other like Ricky Craven and Kurt Busch across the finish line. And the fact that we're not getting that, I think, is a little bit of a problem.
No, I don't disagree. I think it's been the combination of that, and then the combination of a lot of finishes that get taken away with cautions on the last lap. I mean, it's just not there anymore, and that's part of what made this sport so exciting. That's why finishes like Kyle Busch and Kurt Busch at Kentucky are seen as really good finishes, and ones that I remember so well, because there's not as many of them these days. And it felt like back in 04, 05, it was like every single week there was something. And so we've just really gone away from that. And I feel like what do you do to fix that? I mean, there's that would be the real question, is what would you do to fix that? Is there anything you can do to fix that?
No.
Maybe aero package, maybe? That's the only thing I can maybe think of.
Give them the horsepower.
I don't know. Yeah.
I'm no engineer, though.
They'll never get the horsepower back, I've heard many times, which is unfortunate. But
maybe like 5 years down the road, but not anytime soon.
No, not during this day and age. No, it's a difficult time for them to be able to lift up the horsepower numbers, but they're making the most with what they have. And yesterday was a great showing for the next gen car, if you're a fan of it. So lots to be excited about after another good 1.5 mile track race yesterday. It makes you excited for the 1.5 miles, which, like a lot of things, complete 180 from about 5 years ago.
Except for Texas.
Why would you even mention it? Why would you even? Gosh, why would? I was having a nice day. I was enjoying my afternoon. Okay. And now Jacob's ruined it. Jacob has ruined my afternoon. He brought up, now my brain's thinking about Texas Motor Speedway.
I know how to help it. Wilkesboro.
Thank you.
Or even better, Darlington.
I mean, Darlington's fun, but I'm more excited for Wilkesboro. I don't call that even better, but we've got
Okay,
throwback.
that's fair.
It's throwback weekend.
It is throwback weekend. I was really hoping to wear my Jeff Gordon shirt, but it's not. It doesn't smell good. Anyway, so we'll go over our Darlington preview in just a second, but our Cup Series driver standings right now is Ross Chastain at first, Christopher Bell second, Martin Truex Jr. third, Denny Hamlin fourth, Kevin Harvick fifth, Tyler Reddick sixth, Ryan Blaney seventh, Larson eighth, Byron ninth, Keselowski 10th, Logano 11th, Kyle Busch 12th, Chris Buescher 13th, Stenhouse 14th, Alex Bowman 15th, and Daniel Suarez is 16th. So everyone as of right now who is, I believe, below Suarez. Well, let me look, actually. Yes, anyone who is below Suarez is out of the playoffs. So Bubba is out of the playoffs right now. He sits 18th. He's made some really good progress.
Good day for them yesterday.
Yes, he's made some very good progress in the past couple weeks. Ty Gibbs is falling a little bit. Michael McDowell is 18th below the cut, or 18 below the cut line. Cindric is 25 below. LaJoy is 30 below, and it just falls off from anyone below LaJoy. So let's go over a little throwback. Why don't we?
Before we do, I want to make one quick final note about yesterday's race. Denny Hamlin got his 49th career win yesterday. So his next win will be his 50th career win. And that also ties him with Tony Stewart for 15th most wins of all time. So next time Denny Hamlin wins, that's going to be his 50th win. So there's a lot on the line. So keep an eye on that for sure.
Yeah.
Is he in the 75?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
There are 4 spots remaining, and there are also 4 champions not involved. Kevin Harvick, Matt Kenseth, Jimmy Johnson, and who's the last one? Brad Keselowski, maybe?
No, Keselowski made it.
No, Logano. Did I say Logano? It's Logano, Harvick, Kenseth, Johnson. Those are the and those are the 4 that are going to make it at the end here because they're the only 4.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
They have championships. They'll be in there. So those are the 4 that are left. But he did make it, yes.
So let's go over a little Darlington and a little throwback right now. So it is throwback weekend, guys. I'm still salty that it's not Southern 500 weekend, but bygones be bygones. The throwback game has been awesome this year so far. So what are your guys' favorite throwbacks so far this year?
I got to say one of my favorites is the Herbie throwback. I grew up watching Herbie. I love Herbie.
That's a good one.
And another one is Chase Elliott looking like his daddy's car. And I think probably the best one is Bowman's and was it Chastain with the one with Dale Jr.'s throwback?
Chastain has Dale Jarrett's UPS paint scheme.
That's
Almirola has the Dale Jr. MLB throwback, which is awesome.
Yeah, I think I like the MLB one and Amarola's MLB one, and probably Alex Bowman's the best. But Herbie is up there.
So if I had to pick 2 as my favorite, I'm going to go with the William Byron throwback because I'm obviously a Jeff Gordon fan. That one's pretty special to me. And I really like Noah Gregson's throwback. That one's nice because it's solid. You know, it could be used for the Coke 600 race weekend. I know they won't, but it's a throwback to Jimmy Johnson's 2014 Coca-Cola 600 race win. So that's a very good throwback in my opinion.
Yeah, and then for my picks, I would definitely say that one of the ones that is very underrated, haven't seen many people talking about it, the number 45 in the Xfinity Series. It's going to be driven by Jeffrey Earnhardt for Alpha Prime Racing. They got the All-Star Wheaties throwback scheme for Dale Earnhardt, 1997. That one looks really good. I'm a big sucker for orange cars as a Tony Stewart fan, so the orange coloring on that car looks incredible. I'm also a big fan of the Pilot Flying J throwback scheme from Sammy Smith. I do love the colors and everything like that. I think it's a good color scheme. And that's just for the Xfinity side. I feel like we've got some good throwbacks through all three series this year. And on the Cup side, I like the Joey Logano scheme. I think it's a little bit different. I think I like the colors with it, and I like the number font for sure. The Christopher Bell scheme is kind of nice with the comparison to Matt Kenseth. I just don't I don't understand the size of the DeWalt not being the same, despite it being the same car. It's a little bit confusing to me personally. But yeah, and then the last one I would say that I really like, I really do love the Chastain one, but with Chris, I love the Bill Elliott throwback scheme. And I said it in our chat when it was dropped that the fact that they changed the number font really was what sold it for me. It's when those teams really double down on these throwback weekends, and it's a very plain car. It's a red car with the number 9, but it's one of the best ones this weekend, and it just brings a smile to my face seeing that red number 9 with the little spiky E at the end of the 9 there. It's so exciting to see it back on track, and he's gonna make his daddy proud. I think he's got a good chance at winning this weekend. So a lot of good paint schemes this weekend. Going to be one of the better throwback weekends we've had in the past.
You know what? I think I'm going to change it. My favorite. I think my favorite is Herbie.
You think so? You like the Herbie
Officially?
scheme the best?
I love Herbie. So, yeah, I think that's my favorite.
I'll tell you what, Riley Herbst has a special throwback to Ken Block. That one's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
That one's really cool.
I will say too, there's an Adam Petty throwback in the Truck Series as well.
Yes.
And honestly, that paint scheme, it looks really good on a truck. It looks much better than I would have thought of on a truck, and it's a good piece. So Lawless Allen will be in the Nice 45 Adam Petty 99 throwback scheme. That'll be a good one too.
Yeah, Eric Jones is doing Eric Jones is doing a 1968 throwback to Richard Petty, which looks awesome with the good old Petty blue. You can't beat it.
Another Dale Jarrett throwback.
Yes.
There are 3 of them.
Yeah. There's one of the trucks, I think.
Yeah, the flaming UPS.
That's right.
I like that. I actually have that diecast somewhere.
Well,
I'm telling you,
I would say that my pick for this weekend's probably going to be. You know what? I'm gonna go with Alex Bowman. I like Alex Bowman this weekend. He's not even in the car. What am I talking about?
I'm about to say, hold up.
He's not even in the car. Oh man,
that's so weird because I was thinking that Bowman was in the car the entire time at Kansas, but he's not.
He's not even in the car. I completely forgot about that. All right, allow me to. Chris, go ahead.
I gotta really think about this. I'm thinking Ross. I'm on a Ross high right now. And for a dark horse, I have absolutely no numbers, statistics to back this up. But I got a feeling about Suarez.
I'm all for it. If I had to pick 2, my main one, man, who won there? Shoot, why not pick Hamlin? And then my dark horse would be Ty Gibbs.
Okay. My main pick. I'm gonna pick Christopher Bell is my main pick this week in the 20 car. And then I'm thinking for my dark horse pick, believe it or not, this one's bold. If I had to pick a bold dark horse pick, this would be it. My bold dark horse pick, boldest one I'm picking all year, Harrison Burton. So those are my two picks: Christopher Bell, Harrison Burton. I like the two of them this weekend. I was kind of back and forth between Burton and Ryan Preece, but I like Burton this weekend.
I was thinking about Bell too. It was kind of hard for me between Bell and Ross. But yeah,
Ross has more momentum right now, I think, than Bell does.
Although I think my pick of Suarez is about as bold as I've ever been.
You never know with how the races will turn out nowadays. That's why we watch.
Hey, Suarez could win. I love his throwback scheme too. The '99 Quaker State.
It's a Ricky Rudd, right?
Correct. It's a Ricky Rudd throwback scheme. Could he win in the green and white and gold Quaker State car, just like Casey Kane did 11 years prior?
I was at that race.
Really?
The 2012 Coca-Cola 600. I was at that race. That was my first race I've ever attended.
Really?
I remember my first race.
Yep.
It was 2003, and it was the fall back when it was Lowe's Motor Speedway race. Tony Stewart won that one.
Oh, you lucky duck. See, I didn't get to go to a race. Like, I used to go to qualifying and stuff when I was a kid. By the time I actually got to go to a race, it was like I was probably 15 and he was kind of long past his prime. I think I'm looking right now because I don't remember the first race that I went to. I want to say it was somewhere around 2013 or 2014. And there is I probably saw Kevin Harvick win for the first time. Yeah, it was Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick won at my first race, but I've seen Kevin Harvick win. I saw Ryan Newman's win and Matt Kenseth win. So both of those were really exciting. Yeah, I wish I could have saw Tony win. You lucky duck.
You know, speaking of Ryan Newman, we need to bring up the fact that he's back.
Yeah, he is back this weekend for RWR. He will be running part-time, just select races, I guess, for RWR. And best of luck to the Rocket Man.
It's going to be the hardest car to pass.
Always is. Gentlemen, if you guys have nothing else to say, I think that'll wrap us up for this episode.
Yeah, I think that
just about does it.
Let's get to the races.
Yeah, this weekend cannot come any quicker. So, guys, if you are not following us on Instagram or Twitter or wherever our socials are, make sure you do so and check out our articles on Backsports page. My Instagram and Twitter are both at JWBarker24. And guys, where can we find you on our socials?
I'm on Twitter at CJ Outside Line. And of course, Backsports page.
Yep.
You guys can find me on Backsports page and then also on Instagram at Mason.Wood01. On Twitter, I recently changed my @ so it is no longer Mason Hollywood 6. I just wanted to get it a little bit shorter. Unfortunately, Hollywood was taken, so my new @ is Mace Hollywood, MASE, and then Hollywood. That is going to be my new @ so make sure that you guys are following me on Twitter. I post updates on during the races sometimes, and all things football, all things NASCAR related are going to be there. And it's also a link that's going to take you to Backsports page where all my articles are as well.
There we go. Well, guys, if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure you follow us on Spotify and our socials as well, and subscribe to us on YouTube so you can get our weekly episodes. And hoping to continue that streak if nothing crazy happens like it did last week. Anyway, yeah, make sure you continue to check out our episodes, guys, on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you guys get your podcasts. And check out our articles on Backsports page. And we'll catch you guys on the next episode of The Outside Line. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys next time.